Having taken Godadha Pandit to see Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahodaya, Mukunda Datta, he was aware, he could recognize, he could understand that a doubt had arisen in the mind of Godadha, seeing the opulent and materialistic-like appearance of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahodaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself in the kirtan, in the middle of the kirtan in Navadip here in Navadip Dham, was performing the kirtan. Suddenly, Goshundor, he sat down and began calling out, Pundarik Bab, Pundarik Bab, Kotai Deka, Kobe Deka, but when will you come? When will I see you again? And the devotees were astonished that who is this person that Mahaprabhu is calling upon? Who is this dear devotee who's so dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And then they inquired, who is Pundarik Vidyanidhi? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from his own mouth, he began explaining the glories of his dear devotee, Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahodaya, explaining how his qualities, that he had a home in East Bengal, Chattogram. We've been discussing over the last few sessions the glories of Chattogram. Godadha Pandit's Janmastan is there, Vasudev Datta, Mukunda Datta, Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahodaya, and other great Vaishnavas. And ISKCON, we have our preaching, we have 3 centers, actually. We have a beautiful, gorgeous temple in the city, in Chittagong, which is extraordinary. We're able to open and build such a temple in the second largest city of Bangladesh. It's extraordinary, a beautiful temple, almost like ISKCON Juhu in beauty. Not as big, but 3 altars, a puja. So that's the main temple. And then Nandankanan is another Radha Krishna temple we have. And then we have Gaunitai Mandir, another temple, Brahmachari Ashram, 5-story building in Chittagong City, Gaunitai Ashram. And we have Srila Pundarik Dham, where Varshavani Bimurari, installed by His Holiness Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj and godbrothers, which he considers his worshipable deity. So such a special place, Chittagong. Actually, on that point, for the next few weeks, we won't be conducting classes. For the next month, actually, we'll be in Bangladesh. We'll be touring in Bangladesh, so we won't be able to carry on for the next month, the Sunday morning Chaitanya Bhagavat readings and discussions. However, upon returning after Nrsimha Chattadasi, again, we will begin, and we'll be in Chattogram, actually. I'll be in Chattogram for at least a week, and teaching there, and also participating in the appearance celebration of Godadha Pandit at his birthplace. We can send you a report. So Mahaprabhu he's explaining he has a house in Chattogram. He also has a house in Navadip, and he will come here. And then he had come in the past to Navadip, and Mahaprabhu began to describe his inclination toward Mahaganga. Of course, Maganga, she's Navadip Dham, Govardhan Bitare, Janavi Shevita Hoy, Shoda Shobha Kore. Her service, Janavi Shevita Hoy, her service, Shoda Shobha Kore, is to beautify Navadip Dham, Govardhan Bitare, Janavi Shevita Hoy, Shoda Shobha Kore. She beautifies the 9 islands of Navadip by winding and flowing through them and creating the 9 islands of Navadip. And Mahaprabhu is explaining that Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahodaya, he was not inclined to, he felt great pain when he would go to the Ganga and see the materialistic people washing their clothes, spitting in the Ganga, washing their hair in the Ganga. And it would cause him great pain. And so he would go in the evening time and offer her respect. Still we see the local people, they do that actually. There are several ghats here along the Shri Thakur Marg. Fortunately, in the ISKCON Ghat, that's not allowed, washing clothes and washing your hair and using soap. But in the other ghats, the public ghats, then there's no restriction, and the local people, they do that. Of course, how fortunate that they are, that they can wash their clothes in Maganga, wash their hair in Maganga, and every day. I see many local people every day. They come and bathe. So they're very fortunate. However, this is not the ideal way of bathing in Ma Ganga, or one should simply go in a devotional mood for purification. And Mahaprabhu also explained with his own lips, he's glorifying the quality, the character of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya. He's saying that before puja, Deva Archan Age, Ganga Jal Pan, and in this way he would drink Ganga Jal before worshipping the deity. He would, of course, these great Vaishnava Brahmin associates with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they're all worshipping deities, although it's not elaborately described because it's understood. They're all Brahmins, they're all worshipping deities at home. At this time, like we have in ISKCON, we have a central temple, a mission, a place of education, and devotees, they come there. But at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually, it was in the homes of the Grihastha devotees where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement and organized the spreading of Krishna consciousness. It was in the homes. They didn't have centralized they didn't have centralized temples and an institute organization, governing board, etc. None of those things. It was simply the Vaishnav Shammelam, Vaishnav Shobha, society of Vaishnavas, and Mahaprabhu associated with his devotees who were all Grihastas, primarily Grihastas. Of course, Garada Pandit, he was a brahmachari, and he never became married, never married. So Mahaprabhu is glorifying Pundarik Vidyanidhi with his own lips, being inquired. The devotees seeing Mahaprabhu crying in the kirtan, calling out the name of Pundarik, they were inquiring, and Mahaprabhu, from his own lips, he's glorifying the qualities. And he explained the extraordinary quality, Bishai Prai Ta Parichet Shab Chinitana Pare Keho Shaito Vaishnav. That Bishai Prai, that he looked like a materialistic person. Bishai Prai Ta Parichet Shab. Everyone considered him a materialistic person. He looked Parichet, he introduced himself. Parichai, the introduction. Bishai Prai Ta Parichet Shab. He introduced himself like a materialist. Chinitana Pari Kehu. No one could recognize Shaito Vaishnav, that he was a Vaishnav and such an exalted Vaishnav. And he specifically appeared in this way, dressed in this way, because he desired not to be given great respect and honor. And therefore he, although being exalted, liberated, and actually we know that he is King Vrishabhanu. King Vrishabhanu, the father of Sri Radhika. And he appears just as Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachishuta Hoilo Shay. That the son of the king of Braj, Brajendra Nandan Jai Shachishuta Hoilo Shay, he has appeared as the son of Sachimata and Navadip. Balarama Hoilo Nitai, Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda. And similarly, all of the associates of Krishna from Vrindavan appeared in Navadip Dham as Mahaprabhu was performing the Sankirtan pastimes, to participate in that, as he performed Vidya Lila, to participate in that. So Sri Radhika's father, Vrishabhanu Maharaj, he also came to appear. He also appeared in the Navadip Lila. And he appeared in the form of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya. So seeing his character, when Mukundadatta, he bought Garada Pandit. Actually, Mukundadatta and Garada Pandit, they were very close. In fact, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that they shared all their secrets. Mukundadatta could understand the circumstances of Garada Pandit, how he was seeking, how he was desiring the shelter of a great Vaishnava. He was desiring the shelter of a great Vaishnava. And he said that he came to Gadadhar Pandit and he said that today your desire to meet with the great Vaishnava will be fulfilled. Your desire to meet with the great Vaishnava. So that Vaishnava from him you are desiring to take shelter. Today you will meet. He said that. He said that. Very interesting story. right from the beginning, Mukundadatta could understand that they would establish such a relationship. Of course, Gadadhar Pandit being Sri Radhika Prakash, Antaranga Shakti, Ladini Shakti Prakash, Gadadhar Pandit. Panchatattva become Krishna, Bhakta Rupa, Shrukam, Bhakta Avatam, Bhaktakyam Namami, Bhakti Shaktikam, Bhakti Shaktikam, devotional personification of devotional energy, Sri Radha, Radha Pandit incarnate. Mukunda Datta, of course, this is a transcendental arrangement. Vidyanidhi Mahadaya has come, so he wants to bring Sri Radhika to see her father. Although in these pastimes, the devotees are not aware, or they're not aware of their actual relationships as they were in Vrindavan. They're not aware. So a new Yogamaya covers them. So it's a new and exciting experience. So it brings him. And then when he sees Gadadha, when he sees the dress and the opulent surroundings, he's sitting on the couch, so elaborately comforts, satin and silk cushions, and he has two servants fanning him, and he has beautiful long hair, anointed, scented with scented oil, and decorations, gopi dots on his forehead. His lips are reddish, like pomegranate seeds from chewing betel, and a nice brass plate with betel nut, and a spittoon in order to, and the comforts are there. He's being fanned, and Gadadha Pandit, when he was singing this, of course, Gadadha, Ajanma Birokto, Vrindavan Thakur explains, Ajanma Birokto, that from birth he was a renounced soul, Gadadha Pandit. And we hear they're very renounced, and he didn't enter family life. Very renounced soul, Sri Radhika Prakash, Gadadha Pandit. Ajanma Birokto. So he was from birth, he was detached. And so he was confused. He was disturbed in mind, seeing the materialistic demeanor of Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya. And in his mind, he was thinking, what kind of Vaishnava is this? He's so accustomed to the comforts of life and luxurious living. Mukunda Datta, he could understand the mind of Gadadha Pandit. He could understand the mind. Perhaps he knew from the very beginning that all of these events would occur. Mukunda Datta. So he was amongst Mahaprabhu's associates, and he was specially appreciated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of his kirtan. Vasudev Datta, Mukunda Datta, Duijan Kirtan, Prabhu Shantosh. When the devotees were arriving from Bengal, first visit to Jagannath Puri, we've discussed in previous presentations, right, in this Shamela, arrival in Puri. And Srila Gopinath Acharya on the roof of the king, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and they're describing, and the king says, tell me all of these devotees, Mahaprabhu's associates who've come from Bengal, first visit to Puri. And then they mention Vasudeva Mukunda Datta, whose kirtan the Lord is very satisfied by. Prabhu Shantosh. Tade Kirtan Prabhu Shantosh. So this is Mukunda Datta, such a beautiful voice. So Mukunda Datta, he began to recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse describing how Putana demon, she came and offered a breast in the form of a young gopi, Braja Gopi, offered her breast to the new child, Gopal. And she had smeared poison. She was an associate of Kamsa, and she was a demoness, a huge demoness, Putana demon. But she had the power to assume any form, a transformer. She assumed any form. And so she assumed the form of a young, beautiful gopi. And she came, and everyone was so attracted by her beauty, she was able to enter. Everyone was so enamored by her beauty, able to enter into the place where Gopal had just appeared, being born. And she took him to offer her breast, and then she'd smeared poison. She wanted to kill the child. And Krishna, of course, he knew everything. So he accepted her maternal approach, accepted that. And he sucked her breast, and he sucked out the poison, and he sucked out her life. And so she passed away, and she assumed that form of the Putana demon. But Krishna, out of kindness, Krishna, he awarded her a position in the Vaikuntha realm as a nurse. Krishna's nurse in the Vaikuntha realm. So how they're hearing this described, actually this is a verse spoken by Uddhav in third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, when Vidura inquired from him some of the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And he quoted that verse describing that how merciful is Krishna, that he even the Putana demon who came to kill him, he was awarded liberation and an eternal residence in Goloka. And hearing this verse, Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya, he became overwhelmed with love of God, and immediately he began to tear up all of the soft satin cushions he was sitting upon, and tear off his clothes, and his hair became disheveled. He was rolling on the ground. Actually, 10 men were unable to, actually mentions 1,000 men were unable to hold him down. It's overwhelmed with love of Godhead. I inquired from Srila Ujjaya Pataka Swami Maharaj, can devotees roll in the ground? Because it's mentioned in many places. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gara, devotees rolling on the ground. And he said, well, if you can't contain yourself, not that, today, look, there's enough room there, maybe I'll roll on the ground. Make a decision, now's a good time, I'll roll on the ground. No. When you can't restrain yourself, then you can roll on the ground. You can't, you're trying to restrain yourself, but you can't. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi like that, he's not saying, now I'll tear up my clothes, now I'll tear up the cushions. He can't restrain himself. He's overwhelmed by the manifestations, feelings of love of God, overwhelming him. So on the ground, trembling, horripilations, his hair standing on end, he kicked everything over, all of the opulence, everything gone. Lying there, he went unconscious. 6 hours. 6 hours. And deep samadhi. 6 hours. And Pundarik and Gadadhar and Mukunda Datta were discussing at that time. Gadadhar, he was so astonished to see the manifestation of the Bhava Prem Bhakti. He was first completely astonished, and then they were discussing, he began to great anxiety that what have I done that I thought in such a critical way of such a great Vaishnava, I've committed an offense, thinking in this way. And he began to reflect. We're reading from text 103, Madhya Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya chapter 7, text 103. Read a few verses today. We'll continue. E pate pravishta jota shab bhakta gane upadeshta avashai koren ek jane. Very interesting, very important comment he's making, that on this path, all of the e pate pravishta jota shab bhakta gane, in other words, everybody on this path, shab bhakta gane, e pate pravishta, those are on this path, Krishna Bhakti, shab bhakta gane, all of them, Upadeshta avashai koren ek jane. Upadeshta, an instructor, an instructing spiritual master from whom they can take shelter, from whom they can take guidance in regard to the performance of Bhagavad Bhakti. Upadeshta avashai koren ek jane. One person. And we're very fortunate in ISKCON that ISKCON is filled with so many exalted Paramahansa Vaishnavas who are entirely competent to give one instruction in spiritual life. We're very fortunate to have such a plethora, such a innumerable great Vaishnavas in this movement. And we can take instruction from many of them. In fact, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami explains the mood of the disciple. Mantra Guru Ajokta Shika Guru Ganta Charane Age Goriya Bandhan. Before beginning his recitation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he offers his obeisances, Mantra Guru, to his initiating spiritual master, Ajokta Shika Guru Gon, and as many of my instructing spiritual masters. And he mentions who they are, actually. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Rupa Raghunath, and Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, instructing spiritual masters of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, and he offers him respect equal to that he offers to the Mantra Guru. However, Mantra Guru is one, Ajokta Shika Guru, and many Shiksha Gurus can be there, but one initiating spiritual master who gives one Vaishnava mantra, and here that person should also be Upadeshta, an instructor, not that one simply takes mantra and gets the name from the spiritual master without taking instruction. Shri Thakur had thousands of disciples, and Srila Prabhupada took initiation from him. However, he instructed Srila Prabhupada personally to preach in English language, in Goldavani, preach all over the world English language. So this is required. Ekjon, one person who you consider the ultimate authority in your spiritual life, the ultimate representative of Sri Hari. That's required in the life of the disciple, and to be able to consult with the spiritual master, is also an essential component of making spiritual advancement, so that one can feel confident that what I'm doing is authorized and approved by Sri Hari, and that the responsibility of the Mantra Guru, the Diksha Guru, or the Upadeshta. Ekjon is to actually give that confirmation and serve in that capacity. So he's saying that all of the devotees who are on this path, they have such a person who is their instructor. Doesn't have to be the same person. Many were initiating in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhavendra Puri Prabhupada, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Thakur, all had disciples. Nityananda Prabhu had disciples. And here we'll hear the relationship. Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya also had disciples. I mentioned his Sisya. His disciples came with him when he came to Mayapur. So one has to accept, one has to find that person and take shelter. And at this point, Gadadhar Pandit had not found, and Mukunda Datta, he knew that, and he brought with him Gadadhar Pandit, thinking that, yes, you will find that great Vaishnava who you were seeking to become the follower and seeking as your instructor, you'll find him today. That was actually the intention of Mukunda Datta. So Gadadhar is explaining, A pote ami upadeshta nahi kori. I haven't accepted such a person, one person who I consider my final authority. I haven't accepted that person. Ihaishtane mantra upadesha kori. And I desire to accept mantra from this person. Shuniya Mukunda, text 107. Shuniya Mukunda Baro, Shantosh Voila. Hearing this, Mukunda Datta, he was very satisfied. He's very pleased. Shuniya Mukunda Baro, Shantosh Voila, Bhalo Balo Boli. Baro Lagila, Shlagite Lagila. Very good, very patting him on the back. Very good, very good. Patting him on the back, saying very good, very good. He's appreciating that he decided he was desiring to approach Pundarik Vidyanidhi Maharaj to take initiation from. So this discussion went on whilst Pundarik Vidyanidhi Maharaj was still unconscious. And this is text number 108. Just for clarification, mentions here that praha duite. Praha is 3 hours. It's a period of time. Just as we have the Shat Praha Prakash. 7 times 3, the 21 hours. Sat Paraha Prakash. Mahaprabhu sat on the Singhasan of Suraj Thakur, and he displayed his opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead for 21 hours. It's called Sat Paraha Prakash. That's described in a later chapter in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Shat Paraha Prakash. So this is Paraha Duite. It's 2 Paraha, which means 2 times 3 hours, 6 hours. Praha duite Vidyanidhi Mahadir Bhaya Pai Oshilen Hoya Shushtir. That for 6 hours he was unconscious after hearing the one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. What a consciousness, a hearing. And as we mentioned, it's not something that he's voluntarily performing. He cannot control himself. For 6 hours he was unconscious hearing the one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he regained his consciousness after 6 hours. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur confirming. He was in an unconscious state for two parahas or 15 dandas or 6 hours. When he regained eternal consciousness, he became conscious again. So seeing Pundarik Vidyanidhi Prabhu come back to consciousness, Gadadhar Pandit was simply shedding tears of profuse joy, profuse tears of joy. And when Vidyanidhi Mahadaya came back to consciousness, he saw Gadadhar Pandit, he embraced him. Parama Shambrame, Rohilen Gadadhar Parama Shambrame means overwhelmed, in complete astonishment, in awe and reverence. Parama Shambrame, Rohilen Gadadhar, Mukunda Kohintar, Moner Utar. And then Mukunda Datta, he said, Dar Moner Utar, the conclusion of his mind. He began to speak what they had discussed and what Gadadhar Pandit had decided in his mind. Mukunda Datta, he spoke. He's saying that he was doubtful about your character. seeing your appearance, seeing your extravagant appearance and surroundings. He was doubtful about that. And he regretting that extraordinarily, extremely regretting that, and he wants to take initiation from you. And he began to explain the qualities of Gadadhar Pandit, that he was born in a very exalted family, Madhav Mishra. And although he's young, he's very mature in spiritualization. Shishu hoite isharer shange onuchar. Onuchar. Shange onuchar, a constant companion. Shishya hoite isharer shange onuchar, a constant companion of the Lord since childhood. A constant companion. In other words, since his childhood, he's always been absorbed in devotional service. That's rare, actually. It's rare. We see devotees. You see devotees. I met yesterday with an old friend from Bangladesh, Doyal Garanga Prabhu. He's a Vanaprastha, had 2 sons. His 2 sons are brahmacharis. He joined when he was a young man, brahmachari. He became a grihasti. He was in charge of Kumila temple in Bangladesh. Actually, Kumila is the birthplace of Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Good Doyal Garanga, he became temple president. He was married. He had 2 sons. We were discussing with him yesterday. He's going to apply for sannyas. Yeah, apply for sannyas. His 2 sons are brahmacharis. His 2 sons are brahmacharis. What an achievement! He had 2 sons, and they're both brahmacharis living in the temple. Saffron cloth, ISKCON. And that's ideal grihastha life. So we see our householders, and they have kids, and the kids are devotees. The kids become devotees. That's very wonderful. It's the duty of the household to become a devotee. But like this, that from childhood, the person is completely dedicated to spiritual practice. And now as a youth, he's not at all interested in family life. Shishya hoite ishare shanger anuchar, Guru Shishya Yoga Pundarik Gadadhar. What a combination. Guru Shishya Yoga. Guru Shishya Yoga. It's a very good match. The union. Guru Shishya Jogya, the Jogya, the highly qualified Guru Shishya Jogya Pundarik Gadadhar. What an ideal guru disciple example. Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai, who's a liberated soul, he's an eternal associate of the Lord, and a disciple like Gadadhar Pandit, who's also an eternal associate of the Lord. This Varshabhani Maharaj and Sri Radhika. Shishya hoite, that's Guru Shishya Jogya Pundarik Gadadhar. What an exalted. How exalted, how extraordinary that in Krishna Lila they were father and daughter, and in Gaur Lila they're guru and disciple. It's Guru Shishya Jogya Pundarik Gadadhar. How exalted is this relationship? Now that wasn't discussed by Mukunda Datta. He didn't say that actually you're Varshabhani Maharaj and this is Sri Radhika, but in the unwritten words, in the unspoken words, these eternal personalities, somehow they know and yet they don't know. It's like a surprise. I've never met the person before. Mukunda Datta introducing him. But somehow they know, somehow they don't know. It's a little hard for us to conceive. But all of this happens in the intimate associates of the Lord. So Mukunda Datta, he requests him. He requests Pundarik Vidyanidhi to initiate him. Consider these points, choose an auspicious day, and initiate him with the Diksha mantra. It's very interesting in ISKCON. Similarly, you can bring a new person to your spiritual master. Although here Mukunda Datta, not a disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. But in any case, he's bringing him you can bring the person. You can bring a person to the lotus feet of a great Vaishnava. And also in ISKCON like that, someone appeals on behalf of the candidate. Usually it's a temple precedent. They appeal on behalf of the candidate. I remember I preached my Mantra Guru. Actually in 1986. So it's almost 40 years ago. And at that time, temple president, he said, this boy, Atul, no, I didn't say Atul. He said, this boy, he's a Sankirtan devotee. He wants to take initiation from you. At that time, my Mantra Guru only had 1 disciple, actually. He wants to take initiation from you. Mantra Guru responded, Prabhuji Shambhanacharya responded that yes. He said yes. He's a Sankirtan devotee. Yes, we will initiate him. So Mukunda Datta, he's requesting. Pundarabhidanity, you can't initiate him. And then he said, well, wow, so how fortunate I am to attain such a disciple. Karaimu ihate, shandehe kichune karaimu ihate. I will initiate him, shandehe kichune, there's no doubt about it. Bahut janma bhagye, she moto shishapai. Karimo ihate shandehe kichunai. Bahu janma bhagye, she moto shishapai. Bahu janma bhagye. By good fortune accumulated for many births. Bahu janma bhagya she moto shishapai. One gets a disciple of his quality as a result of good fortune accumulated for many births. And then he said the forthcoming 12th day of the waxing moon is very auspicious. He's a learned scholar in Jyotish. So he knew at that time, I'm not sure if they had published Ponjika. Now you can get Ponjika in Bengal. I'm assuming in other places, South India, is easily available. Ponjika, the ritualistic Brahmins they're using for performing karma kanda, when to do this, when to do that ceremony, when to do this ceremony. The Vaishnavas also they consider. It's not that any day, it doesn't matter, we chant Hare Krishna every day is okay. No, we choose an auspicious day. When Gaudhari himself received the sacred thread, Shubha Dine, Shubha Mashe, Shubha Kondore, Jagya Shutra Dorelen Gauranga Sri Hari. The Shubha Mashe, auspicious month, Shubha Dine, auspicious day, Shubha Kone, auspicious time in that day. Dore, at that moment, Jagya Shutra Dorelen Gauranga Sri Hari. He received the sacred thread from Jagannath Mishra. So this is the Vaishnavas, they knew they could read some of the Brahmins were Jyotish, and they could read, they could understand, they could tell, they could read the stars, they could tell what the time was. Or an auspicious time. So ihate shankalpashiti hoibe toma, shankalpashiti. Your desire, Shankalpashiti, your desire will be fulfilled on that day. Shuni Gadada Harshe Hoilo Namaskar. So Gadadha was very happy to hear this. He offered his obeisances to Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. So then Gadadha Pandit, he went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he heard, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard, Vidyanidhi Agamon Shuni Bishambar Ananta Harishe Prabhu Hoilo Anantar. So when he heard, Gadadha Pandit explained that Pundarik Vidyanidhi had arrived. And then, that Pundarik Vidyanidhi himself came to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pundarik Vidyanidhi came to see. So this is the first description of their meeting, and it appears that in this particular Leela that they hadn't met before. They hadn't met before. Nothing ever described in the meeting before. So he leaving behind all of his associates, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he had a large entourage of followers, including disciples, Brahmins, assistants. He's a wealthy man. Sharva Shangachari, Eki Sharmatrahoy. He came alone to see the Lord in the night. Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. Prabhu Deki Matro Horilen Murcha Hoyam. He fell unconscious. Even before he came into the association of the Lord, he fell unconscious. Prabhu Deki Matro Porilen Murcha Hoy. He fell unconscious when he came in and saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dandavat Prabhu Nar Porile Korite, not offering obeisances. Ananda Mochita Hoya Porile Bhumite. He fell down unconscious on the floor. Then he regained consciousness and began revealing his heart desire. Krishna Ray Paranamo, Krishna Mor Bap. Muni Aparadi Kotek Dehatabda, I'm an offender. I'm an offender. Calling out, I'm an offender. Then Mahaprabhu is seeing Pundarik Vidyanidhi on the floor. In this way, expressing his humility, Goshanda got up. And he went and he embraced Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya. Nija Priyatam Jani Sri Bhaktavatsal, the one who is so dear to his devotees, so much love for his devotees, the Bhaktavatsal. Sambrame Odiya Kole Koile Bishambai. With great affection, he embraced Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya. And then calling out Pundarik Bab, Polykondenisha crying, calling out Pundarik, my father, Pundarik, my father. Bab Dekilaimo Aj Noyana Gocha. With my own eyes today, I've seen my father. Talk on. Shay, Johnny Lane, Sharva Bhaktagon, Piddanidi, Goshai, Hoilo, Agamon. Then the devotees could understand who is Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya. Then they could understand. Before, when Mahaprabhu was calling in the kirtan, they couldn't understand, who is this? Then they could understand, seeing the way Mahaprabhu dealt with him. The affection that Mahaprabhu had for him. They remained there, embraced for 3 hours. Paraha ek Gauchanda Achen Nishchale. He didn't move for Paraha ek. Before we heard Paraha Dui. Paraha ek for 3 hours. Paraha ek Gauchanda Achen Nishchale. Remaining embracing Pundarik Vidyanidhi for 3 hours. Tobe Prabhu Baya Baya Daki Hari Bole. And after 3 hours, he regained consciousness and began chanting the holy name. Hari Bole. Aj Krishna Vansha Shri Gorela Ama. Today Krishna has filled my desire. Aj Pailen Sharvamanaha Paded. I've obtained that which is Sarvamanata, my greatest desire. I've fulfilled my greatest desire today. And then they began kirtan. Shabal Vaishnav, Shange, Gorila, Milan, Pundarik, Laya, Shab, Koren, Shabe, Koren, Kirtan, Pundarik, Laya, Shabe, Koren, Kirtan. Taking Pundarik, all the devotees began performing kirtan. Shakal, Vaishnav, Shange, Gorila, Milan, Pundarik, Laya, Shabe, Koren, Kirtan. Taking all the devotees, taking Pundarik Vidyanidhi, they began kirtan. Who was there? All the devotees. Advaita Devi Age Kore Namaskar. Pundarik Vidyanidhi offering obeisances to Advaita Acharya. Advaita Devi Age Kore Namaskar. Jota Jogya Prem Bhakta Korela Shabani. With great devotion and appreciation, he showed his respect and shared affection with all the other Vaishnavas. And all these, you can imagine. I mean, seeing such a thing, just being around. This is just be around, just stay in the association of the Vaishnavas, and you'll witness so many extraordinary things. And the more advanced association you can get, the more extraordinary things you'll witness. Paramananda Hoilen Sharva Bhakta Gane. Paramananda Hoilen Sharva Bhakta Gane. They're all in ecstasy, extreme ecstasy. Paramananda Hoilen Sharva Bhakta Gane. Henu Premanidhi Pundarik Darshane, seeing Premanidhi Pundarik Darshane, seeing that great Vaishnava, just by seeing him and the way the Lord was showing affection upon him, all the devotees were enjoying extreme bliss. And then Gadadhar Pandit, who was also there, as we mentioned, Gadadhar Pandit went, and then Pundarik Vidyanidhi came. So in this assembly, what a moment. Mahaprabhu's got up and embraced Pundarik Vidyanidhi for 3 hours. He's unconscious. All the devotees are seeing this, and then they're taking Pundarik, they're performing kirtan. Pundarik's offering obeisances, showing affection to all the Vaishnavas. Mahaprabhu's explaining how his desires have been fulfilled. All the devotees are in extreme ecstasy. And then Gadadhar Pandit, he speaks to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadha Agya Magilen Prabhushtane. Gadadha Agya Magilen Prabhushtane. So he desired to get the order from the Lord. He asked for permission. Gadadha Agya Magilen. He's desiring to be ordered. Gadadha Agya Magilin Prabhusthane Pundarik Mukhe Mantra Grahan Karane. That's text number 148. Gadadha Agya Magilin Prabhusthane, he desiring to permission, he's seeking permission from the Lord. Pundarik Mukhe, from the lips of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Mantra Grahan Karane. He's seeking permission from the Lord to accept the mantra, initiation mantra, from the lips of Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. And then he mentions, Na Janiya Uhan Agamya Byabaha. I didn't understand his exalted character. Chitte Abhagya Hoechula Amar. And in my heart, I spoke in a disrespect. In my heart, I thought of him in a disrespectful way, critical way. Na Janiya Uhan Agamya Babaha. Not understanding his uncommon behavior. Agamya Babaha. Not understanding his exalted nature. Etake Uhan Ami Hoibe Shishya, I desired to become his disciple. Shishya Aparad Guru Kamibe Avashai. The spiritual master forgives. Spiritual master forgives the aparad, the offenses of the disciple. That's his merciful nature. So hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. Gadadha Bhakko Prabhu Shantosh Hoilo. Hearing the words of Gadadha Pandit, Prabhu Shantosh Hoilo, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very satisfied. Shigura Koro, Bolilen Vagila. Shigura Koro, do it quickly. Do it quickly, he said twice. Shigura Koro, Lagin. Bolite Lagila. Then, it's text number 152. Then, Tobe, Gadadha Dev. Premanidishtane, from Pundarik Vidyanidhi is also called Premanidhi, Premanidhi. Tobe Gadadha Dev, Premanidishtane, from Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai, Mantra Dikka Korilen, Shantoshe Apane. In great satisfaction, he received the initiation mantra, he received initiation from Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. No mention there of a new name. He's already Gadadha. He remained Gadadha, but he received the mantra from Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. And in this way, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he concludes his description of the meeting of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai, who's Vrishabhanu Maharaj, and Gadadha Pandit, who is Sri Radhika, who were father and son in Krishna Lila, and in Gaur Lila they appeared as Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai and Gadadha Pandit and Guru Shishya Jogya Pundarik, Gadadha Pundarik. Kohilam, Kichu, Vidyanidhi Akyan. I described something about Vidyanidhi Akyan, about the qualities, about the descriptions of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi, a few topics about Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai I have described. A more kamya jeno deke baitar. It was my desire. It was my desire to glorify him. Actually, we've come to the topic of chapter 7, Madhya Lila, the meeting of Pundarik and Gadadha Pandit. We began this actually just on the Vasant Panchami day. That was in February. Now we're in April. It was in February we began. Taking us a while, but actually on that day I was seeking to hear about Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai, and I checked in English class, I checked in the Bengali class here in Mayapur, I checked, but no one was describing, and I felt unfortunate. I felt unhappy. And so I thought, let me at least describe, 14th of February. That's his appearance day. Let me at least describe who is Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai and his glories, the special relationship he had with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the relationship he had with Gadadha Pandit. He is not known amongst the devotees in our movement. And so I felt that I desired to actually try to make it known. So we spent the last few weeks describing this meeting of Gadadhar Pandit and Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai. Jogya Guru Shishya Pundarik Gadadhar. What an ideal example of Guru and spiritual master. Jogya Guru Shishya. An ideal example of disciple and Guru. Jogya Guru Shishya Pundarik Gadadhar. Dui Krishna Chaitanya Priya Kolebar. They're both so special devotees, intimate associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how wonderful it is that they met and became the Guru and disciple. Pundarik Gadadhar Duir Milon. Pundarik Gadadhar Duir Milon, the meeting of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai and Srila Gadadhar Pandit. Pundarik Gadadhar Dui Milon. Jai Pore, Jai Shune, Tade, Mile Premdon, Jai Pore, the one who reads, Jai Pore, Jai Shune, the one who hears, Tade, Mile Premdon. They will obtain the wealth of love of God. Premdon, they will obtain. Tar Mile Premdon, they will get love of God just by hearing this description, just by reading this description. And this way, Srila Vrindavan Thakur, he concludes the 7th chapter of Madhya Lila Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. And thus we have concluded our discussion of the meeting of Srila Gadadhar Pandit and Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadai, and those who heard it will get love of God. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Very nice class. Any questions that you want to ask?
Can you speak a little louder, please? Question.
Now?
Yeah. So are there any questions? If there's any questions?
Well, am I audible now? Thank you, Prabhu. Are there any questions? Would you raise your hand? Anybody?
There's a few things here.
Questions for Prabhuji? Anybody wants to ask any question? Oh, we cannot hear you. You are muted.
There's a question here by Hema in the chat box. Mantra Guru and Diksha Guru are the same. Yeah, they're Guru.
Yes,
They're both.
yes. Both are same, na Prabhuji?
Are you asking a question now? Are you speaking now?
Yes, yes. Prabhuji, I have written in the chat
Yeah, okay.
one question.
I'll answer. Mantra Guru and Diksha Guru. Well, Mantra Guru and Diksha Guru, yes. They're the same. Mantra Guru means Diksha mantra. Diksha means mantra, giving the Diksha mantra. It's called Diksha. Diksha means accepting the mantra. Diksha actually means, it's called Diksha mantra. It's called Diksha. It means it means second initiation. In ISKCON, what we describe as second initiation. That's called Diksha. Mantra Diksha.
Prabhuji, you proceed one more question about the Ma Ganga air route.
Yeah. Well, one more question. Ma Ganga. Do we also live there for increasing Krishna consciousness? Of course, if you're fortunate enough to reside on the banks of Ma Ganga. The breeze of the breeze of Ma Ganga, the breeze produces love of Godhead. Lord Shiva himself desires to reside on the banks of Ma Ganga in Mayapur. Mayapur Anturabhage Jana Biratire on the banks of Ma Ganga, Mayapur Anturabhage in Antadeep in Mayapur. Mayapur Anturabhage Jana Biratire on the banks of Ma Ganga. Gauranga Bhajibo Ami Rohira Kutire. Living in a cottage, I desire to worship Gauranga. So Lord Shiva himself has the desire to reside in Mayapur on the banks of Ma Ganga and worship Lord Gauranga. So yeah, we should desire, of course. If you cannot live here permanently, then any chance you get to come to Mayapur and on the banks of Ganga perform Sankirtan and hear the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that opportunity should be accepted. One should desire as such. And just by remembering Ganga, one is purified. What to speak of bathing in Ganga on Gaurapanima Day, one can deliver 1,000 ancestors to Goloka. Jai John Palgun Punima Diboshe, that person who on Palgun Punima Diboshe, on the full moon day of Falgun month, Ganga Nagarete in Mayapur, Ganga Shnan Kore, bathes in the Ganga, Sri Gauranga Puja Kore Upabash Kore, fasting and worshipping Gauranga, the one who bathes in Mayapur, in Ganga on Gaurapanima Day, Sahasra Purusha Purvagan Shonge Sri Goloka Prapti Hoy Jota Tota More. Wherever that person dies, Jota Tota More, Sri Goloka Prapti Hoy, they attain Goloka Sahasra Purushagan Purva Sahasra Purva Purushagan Shonge with 1,000 ancestors. If you come to Mayapur, take bath in Ganga on Gaurapanima Day, you attain Goloka Vrindavan, no matter where you die, and also 1,000 of your ancestors. That's what Thakur Bhaktivinoda sings. Navadev Dhamma. So how special is bathing in Ganga? And of course, Mahaprabhu's pastimes with Ganga. Banchakalpa Tarushi Gauda Shundor, the desire fulfilling, Gaushundor, Jana Vira Bancha, Punna Kori Nirantor. He's always fulfilling Jana Vira Bancha, the desires of Ganga. Punna Kori Nirantor. He's always fulfilling the desires of Ganga. And that way he resided on the banks of Ganga, every day bathing, performing his pastimes. And he was feeling separation from Ganga when he was in Puri, having taken sannyas. He returned to Bengal. Sachimata, she predicted that he would return to Bengal to take bath in Ganga. She predicted. And therefore she said, go to Jagannath Puri. Tom Rashal, Paro, Gamon, Agamon, you can all come and go to Puri. I'll get news. Ganga Shnane, Hobe, Agamon. And he also may return to take bath in Ganga. And he did for that reason. How special is Ganga? I got Mayapur water last week from Ganga or next Upanima. Thanks. I will try to take bath. Yeah, it's great. This Anunai, this question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Are there any other pastimes of Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahasaya?
Yeah, so many pastimes. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll hear with Saurabh Damodar. He's a very wonderful associate of Saurabh Damodar, and he has a dream, and Lord Jagannath personally comes and slaps him in the dream. That's in Puri, when he goes to Puri. He's mentioned many places. He's coming to Puri, and there's this extraordinary leelas of Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi Mahadaya and Saurabh Damodar with Lord Jagannath in Puri. So perhaps on another occasion we can describe that, we can hear those leelas.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. As we mentioned, next week we won't be able to have the class, and for the next 5 weeks we'll be traveling in Bangladesh, so it's going to be difficult to coordinate the class, but let's see. We may be able on some occasion, but I don't think so. And so perhaps after a month or a month and a half, then we'll, if you so desire, we can carry on with the Sunday morning classes on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and we'll wait for you to come back. And
Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Dhanyavad.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you.